it's a challenging time. I don't regard it as a time of for either unrealistic hope or excessive optimism or gloom. I mean, there's been a lot of attention lately to the problems in the relationship, the arguments about whether the U.S. rebalancing towards Asia, or the pivot as it is sometimes called, has elicited a negative reaction on the Chinese side, and whether we are going into a zero-sum game in which we either each mirror image each other and see hostile intentions, and we repeat the historic pattern in which rising powers and existing powers come into conflict. I don't actually think that's the right framework or the right way to see the relationship. This relationship has never been an easy one, and I've been involved in it since the 1970s. People who look back on it and think, oh, things were much easier than are wrong. China has always had its own distinct views on international issues, which have never coincided with ours. We've always just found overlap or ways to work together on issues where we have really very different perspectives. In the last year or so, there's been, I think, more attention than usual to disagreements in the relationship and to concerns about whether we're heading into a zero-sum game where the U.S. goes ahead, marches forward, and China retreats, or China marches forward and the U.S. retreats. I've always felt those concerns were overstated. I think in the second term, Obama's second term and Xi Jinping's first term, things may be a little bit better in the sense that part of the concern over the zero-sum game relationship came out of announcements by the Obama administration last November that we were pivoting towards Asia. Announcements about troop deployments in Australia, our more forthright posture on the South China Sea, our establishing relations with Burma or Myanmar. There were some things that happened that I think caught the Chinese a bit by surprise. And the Chinese overread what was happening as an indication of a, if you will, a military first rebalancing by the U.S. towards the Asia region. I think as time goes by, the Chinese will realize that the changes are not dramatic, that what we are doing is we are making clear our staying power in the Asia-Pacific region, that if there are cuts in the U.S. military budget, for example, which there will be, they will not affect Asia. But that does not mean a massive buildup in the Asia-Pacific region that is threatening to China, nor will the rebalancing that is occurring on the economic, diplomatic, political, and security side be a surprise to China anymore. They've seen what we're doing. They've seen the rebalancing. They understand, or they should understand, that it's incremental and it's not a threat. So I think as that realization sinks in the second term, Obama's second term, we'll see less overheated reactions by scholars and officials to what are really rather normal incremental alterations in U.S. deployments.